So today, welcome first of all to this series of interviews from Alex for Hope. It's a series that is about exploring solutions and healing from the core. And it's a website that's filled with resources about breaking stigma, exploring solutions, and particularly in regards of the struggles of today's youth. And you can also find out more on the website about my son Alex's journey and how you can get involved in helping our communities heal. Today, I'm talking with Jeannine Curley. Jeannine is a licensed marriage and family therapist and the founder and program director of the nonprofit Opening the World, OTW, founded in 2012. Jeannine has a private practice in San Rafael, California, offering therapy for teens, young adults, and families. And Jeannine has an unrelenting desire to help young people from adversity through community and world experiences. So now I'm talking directly to you, Jeannine. We were introduced by a mutual friend. And when you shared with me what it is you do, I immediately resonated. And I got really excited because so much of what you're doing seems to be in alignment with what I want to do and started doing with my advocacy work. And also as a professional, I'm a somatic movement therapist, where it's so much about teaching awareness, about evolving and finding our full potential or getting closer. So for all those reasons, I'm really excited to hear more about what you do. And I just start to find out. Jeannine, can you tell us what led you to start Opening the World?
Okay, that's actually a really good question because it actually falls back with myself. As a young person, I was very challenged about to find out who I am, what direction I wanted to go professionally, just really wanting to know what I liked, what I didn't like, and I really didn't have any support or direction in those areas. And so one thing that I always knew as a young person is I wanted to travel the world. And once I was able to actually achieve that goal and be able to get out into the world, I started realizing that life and world types of experiences that we have day to day can be very transforming for a young person. And so that's where I started to manifest this idea of Opening the World. We're actually a nonprofit program under a local nonprofit here in Marin County called Bay Area Resources. So I just wanted to clarify that because we're a nonprofit program that's fiscally sponsored by them. So what I really, after this experience, this transformative experience, and really trying to discover what I needed and what I wanted, I developed a program called Opening the World, where I literally wanted to help other young people open their world and give them opportunities to learn about themselves without having any pressure or any type of judgment. It's just really a space for them to discover who they are personally in their own personal empowerment, self-discovery, as well as professional development.
And when you began opening it, how did you decide who are the candidates for your program? How did you find them and how did they find you?
Yeah. So as you were saying, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And when I was interning here in Marin County, I knew I always wanted to work with youth. And I was very fortunate. At the time, the school was called County Community School. It was a school for very high-risk youth. And being at that school gave me an opportunity to be around many youth that were having a lot of struggles and challenges. And I had access to be able to think about how I would be able to take them on a trip. And that trip was to Nepal. So that's where I first began, was taking a group of young people. I waited until they were 18 years of age, just due to liability reasons. And then I took them to Nepal and had this incredible, very different cultural experience to give them a viewpoint of getting being comfortable with the uncomfortable, getting themselves out of their environment and then actually being in an environment that was completely different than their own, but then learning how to manage through that and regulate themselves through that and have this incredible experience.
So when you think about, you started that program in 2012, and now this is 10 years ago. how has that program evolved? And is each year similar in terms of what you offer and where you take young people? And how many are there maybe in one group?
Again, another fantastic question, because my intention initially was not to develop a nonprofit program. My intention was just to give young people an opportunity to travel and experience and explore another culture. And otherwise they may not have been able to actually have that type of opportunity. So doing this initial trip, as I had shared with you, Opening the World has just really morphed in the last 10 years from the need of the youth coming back and sharing with me and the people that have helped me. We have an incredible team, and said, would you please repeat this? Would you please give us this opportunity, other youth this opportunity? So each year, I would, and my colleagues, I would ask them, could you please do a pro bono class on law enforcement? Or could you do a class on financial literacy? And so each year, we've just continued to build the structure of Opening the World. So now we are a completely different program in many ways. Of course, we still do the travel piece, but the travel piece is actually not the focus. We offer wraparound services throughout the whole year, and we're really focused on the individual holistically. So we're focused on their emotional, their physical, their mental, psychological. If there's anything in there that we can make referrals to, or us ourselves be able to help with that through vocational, educational development, that's what we're doing. And then at the end of the year, we do either a national or a global volunteer project that's sustainable. So we go out into different communities that are culturally different than our own. And then we provide volunteer service. And then we learn about those communities, as well as travel to various areas that are in that region. And we learn about other people and their culture.
That sounds so multifaceted. So on your website, there was something I read among many other things: explore, experience, evolve. And I love those values. And it sounds like your own organization has explored and evolved within the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned you have a fantastic staff. Can you maybe explain a little bit more? Who are they, or what genres, professional genres, is your staff from?
Yeah, no, thank you. So when we initially started, I had reached out to a variety of my colleagues, specifically social workers, therapists, probation officers, anybody that's in the social service sector here in Marin County. We've been very fortunate. We also had a lot of support at that time from the probation department head, who's retired, Mike Daly, as well as the the public defender's head, Jose Varela, who's also retired, but they served as many other people on our advisory council board. And then since then, we have morphed into, as I was saying, more of a developed program where I work with trauma-informed clinicians. Renee Miranda is one of my colleagues, as well as Wendy Calamaris. And then we have an Open World administrator who actually was an original Open the World participant. She's actually now working with us in this capacity. And then we also reach out to a variety of different consultants that provide their services to teach a variety of different classes that we're offering. We're very blessed. We have a lot of community support with people coming in and wanting to volunteer with us. And then, of course, we have our youth. We have many youth that are still involved with us, even within the last 10 years, that are still coming in and helping and participating in whatever capacity that they can, even though they've actually launched out into full adulthood and are doing their professional careers and getting married and having children and all those things. So we still have access to them as well. So it's really a very community focused type of a program. So we're always looking for people to come and join us in whatever capacity that they want to offer their time and their expertise.
It sounds like you have mobilized very significant key figures in the community that have supported you and still support you. Yeah. And they're volunteers. And it also sounds like, from what you're saying, increasing number of people who are in your circle, so to say, who contribute in their way. The age group, I believe, is around 16 to 24. Is that right, Jeannine?
Actually, that's close. We serve 16 to 26. And at times we will get phone calls for somebody that may be 29, 31 years of age and asking for support and help in whatever capacity that we can help. Of course, we don't bring that huge age difference together, but we're really just committed in wanting to try to help people. When someone's asking for help, then we know that they're actually ready for it. And so we just have the philosophy, if we can be of any kind of support, we're going to help anybody that we can, no matter what the age. It's just there will be different criteria for that age, but we specifically focus in on 16 to 26. 18 and over, you need to be at that age in order to travel with us, just because of what I had shared with you about the liability. Some of the places that we've traveled to, we travel to a lot of developing countries. We've been to Nepal twice, we've been to India, and then we've been to Greece working with refugees from Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq. We've also been down in Costa Rica working with an indigenous tribe. We just returned from Arizona. We were working with an indigenous tribe, the Navajo reservation, that was celebrating their most sacred ceremony, which is called the Sundance Ceremony. And we were there for 1 week volunteering with them. We've been to Canada, working with indigenous people there, Alaska, as well as across the United States a couple of times. So the reason why I'm highlighting that is because to put people into these types of experiences, we are really preparing them before they leave in order to self-regulate themselves and be able to educate them about what types of experiences they're having. Of course, being in group travel, that can be at times challenging because we all have different personalities, and just wanting to be able to follow the rules of what the culture is expecting. So we do ask for people to be 18 years of age when we're actually ready to travel, just primarily for that reason, because the types of work that we do focus a lot on sustainability as well, like on projects. You just need a level of maturity to be able to regulate and communicate. And we want to get people prepared for that, so that when we are traveling, we can express ourselves and we can be able to process what's actually happening.
I saw when I was reading about your program, and also after we talked for the first time, in my mind, I thought that I wish my son had an opportunity like that. And I know that's true for many, many other people and young folks who struggle. And the age group that you target is also exactly the age group where we know the brain is just still pruning and rewiring itself, where it's so crucial to have healthy activities, guidance, and mentors. And it sounds like that's part of what you offer.
Yes.
What I'm curious, Jeannine, can you maybe give us an example? For example, there is one potential candidate, a young person who considers to become part of your program. How do you begin that journey of preparing that person, screening, and then eventually having that person join a travel program?
Okay, again, another great question, because we're actually we're in the process right now of recruiting. So
okay, all right, there we go.
We are actually on the first page of our homepage is an application. Applications have opened from August 1st until September 12th. We ask everybody and anyone that wants to, have any type of educational support and all the things that I shared with you, we welcome them to apply. In many ways, COVID was very challenging, but for us and the program of Opening the World, I'm almost looking at us almost like a developmental stage of growing from an adolescent to an actual adult. And COVID gave us the opportunity to reflect and think about what and how can we provide more services and also meet young people where they're at for what their needs are, without having a lot of expectations if they weren't actually ready for that yet. So we have 3 different phases now within Opening the World. So youth at 16 to 18, we've been very fortunate. The local community organization called Northern Charitable has funded us with some money so that we could provide different types of classes. So we provided a variety of different classes in that age group, and then different types of opportunities, and then the travel piece, as I said, where you're more intensive. So through that process, we have a leadership development team, and these young people have all been through Opening the World. They have been with me. The one that's been the least with us has been 3-4 years. And so they're developed in knowing how the program runs, and what's all expected. And so they're trained into doing peer-to-peer interviews. So they interview the young person that come in. Then they come and they meet with us, myself, Renee, and Wendy, which is the support staff. And then they share with us where and what phase they think this person's ready to be in. And at the beginning of our year, September 30th, October 1st and 2nd, we do an annual therapeutic retreat. We go away every year. And one of the requirements for that is if you want to travel, if you want to be considered for a travel piece, you need to take that weekend with us to actually do this retreat. So that would be one piece. If they were wanting to travel within this upcoming year and they're 18 by the time we travel, which would be end of May of 2023, they would be asked to participate in the retreat, because bringing many of the youth that are planning to travel with us and other participants is just a great way to start our year, to start understanding who everybody is. And again, there's no pressure. When I use the word therapeutic retreat, that's just meeting people where they're at. There's no expectation of what they need to share, what they don't want to share. We really contain and have a safe environment of where that person, and we meet them where they're at. But that's really the focus and the start of our year. And so that would be the first piece if they actually want to travel. If they only want to participate in classes, then they can still go through this interview process, and they can also come in, join our youth service, like our schedule, and we'll be reaching out to them anytime that we're offering any of our classes, and they're free to come, whether it's a 2-hour, 4-hour, 6-hour, 8-hour class, and there's no charge for that.
So in order for participating in the travel program, you have to be 18. Did I hear that right?
That's correct. By May of 2023, we'll be leaving on our annual trip early June of 2023.
Of next year.
Yeah.
And you have to have that weekend, that therapeutic weekend also, which is a nice way of getting to know each other.
Yes.
You have definitely planned that very thoroughly, everything you say. And it also sounds like that participants, and that is one of my questions, who completed maybe one of your travel program,
yeah,
they're still with you for quite some amount of time. You're not just graduating, done, and off you go. You're actually in this pool. And I would imagine that some of those young people who befriended each other may also stay in connection and have a network. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. They've formed friendships, they've met partners. As I've said, they continue to come back in some kind of capacity. They may attend a holiday parties. We do an annual event. This year, I'm hoping that we can celebrate more for the 10 years of what we've actually accomplished. But every year that we have a dinner auction, and it's in November. And what the youth do is they learn how to cook. We have a professional cook that teaches them. They learn how to serve the food, and then they learn leadership development, and they MC the whole event. And so really our older participants, we have 3 that are very active that have been with us for the whole 10 years. They're still participating, but I'm sharing this event. They all come back typically for this event, and they participate and they help the younger youth with this event and show them basically the ropes, because we do everything from cooking the meal, like I said, to setting up, to designing the tables.
That's lovely. That is just fantastic. I may get an invitation from you for the November event. Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Wow. So you have a growing OTW family. How many attendants or participants have you had in the last 10 years? Do you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do. So throughout the holistic piece that I was sharing with you, we've had 64 of our youth come through that have participated all year round. As far as providing just services, like I was saying, to a class here, a class there, I do a lot of community service activities as well. We can have anywhere from 75 to 125 youth just participating in those aspects as well. So the actual focus of the actual program, or the travel component, because as I said, all of the youth within our program help raise the money for these trips as well, which just makes us very unique, right? So they're participating all the time with fundraising so that we can make our trips possible. So that's why my numbers for 64 have been lower, in the sense because it's a lot of work for what we all have to do in order to make our goals by the end of the year.
What an empowering and rewarding life experience you're offering to people. And it's not just it's open-ended in many ways. And those who move on and, as you said, take on and get married and so on, they will have always certain roots and probably connections to some of their mates from the program. Jeannine, I'm wondering, for example, can you think of one example, maybe one individual who is or was in your program, and how did that person, he or she or they, how did that person transform, either in their own words or in your observation? Can you give me or share with us maybe one or a general, what do you see? What are the transformations like?
Yeah, I'd actually like to comment on about just like the different youth, because success is really hard to equate, because we have people at different varying degrees, and we have, you know, some youth that are really wanting to focus on their personal empowerment. So specifically around therapeutic issues, so we make a lot of referrals out for therapy if that's what they're ready for. So I will look at that as success, because they're learning how to regulate their bodies. They're learning how to communicate effectively. They're learning a lot of life skills that they may not have learned when they were younger in childhood. And then we'll have, you know, another young person that is struggling to maintain employment for a variety of different reasons. And for them to be able to be employed for 3 months to 6 months is a huge step for them. And then we will have other youth that have been able to get through these different barriers that I was sharing with you. And then they've been able to find vocational direction. So, you know, it's difficult to define that level of success, but we do have some incredible stories that have really stuck out. One individual that just comes to mind that's been with us since the beginning. I met him through the juvenile system, and today he's a sheriff in San Francisco. He's doing incredibly well. He owns his home in East Bay Area. And as I said, he's still involved with us. And I'm just very, very impressed by what he has accomplished. A lot of times he'll say, oh, well, it's you or opening the world, but I always correct. And I'm like, no, it's actually you, because you're the one that's making the decisions and the choices to get yourself where you're at. Another young person that we have, she came into the country. She was not speaking the language. She had a lot of challenges. She got through. I knew her after, of course, she moved in the middle school years. But I met her at the age of 18, and she pursued a degree at University of San Diego. She now is a mentor for youth for Big Brothers and Big Sisters. We have another young person that actually you had interviewed, and he is been part of with us. He's been part of Opening World. He's been with us since the beginning years as well. He has been in and out due to a lot of the struggles that he had, primarily around substance dependence, addiction, and homelessness. And today he's in recovery for over 5 years. He started his own business called Clean Apparel, which is focused on substance abuse merchandise, which has a very positive message. So, you know, there's a few others that I could again highlight for you. But like I said, that's what Opening the World is about. It's really trying our best to help open people's world as far as the different types of opportunities that they could actually have. And the exploration piece is something where, you know, you have this experience. If you like it, great, that's fantastic. If you don't like it, great, that's fantastic. Because now we know if you don't like it, we're going to try plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E. How we find the time when you say, great, this is fantastic. And this is what I want to continue to at least explore and experience. So, yeah. I'm
really so excited listening to you, and I'm nodding a lot because it is such a correlation and connection with my field in the healing field of somatic movement therapy. I'm a physical therapist, Feldenkrais practitioner, and have done many hours of yoga trainings. And so much what you're saying, what is success? There is no formula and no cookie cutter shape. that is true for my professional field as well. And sometimes success is just, like you call it, opening the world. For us in the medical and physical realm, it's opening body awareness, opening the body to even feel and sense and not escaping. And so I see that as such a bridge. It is basically all about recognizing that you're much bigger than maybe your pain or your trauma, and that you can still breathe, you can take a step forward. And now some of your clients have stepped into another country or into another continent and explore a whole new orientation and relationship with themselves and among each other. So I'm just so excited about the possibilities you are offering. And as more as I listen to you and think about what you offer, I recognize that such programs, in my vision, in my ideal world, they need to be part of the culture of the building passages for our youth, for our young ones, especially in a world that is ever changing and ever increasing challenging. So yeah, I'm just absolutely impressed. What I want to ask you a general question that is kind of linked to what I was saying. What do you see, Jeannine, are some, and I say some because I'm sure it's not one, what are some of the challenges that you see today? And is it different 10 years ago than now? What do you see is needed in our communities, including in Marin County, for our youth?
For our youth. I think, from my experience of working with youth and then, looking at myself as a youth, I think every youth is at risk. When we hear the words at-risk youth, I really believe that, we're either going to go left or we're going to go right. And that has a lot to do with protective and risk factors. So how many risk factors do you have as opposed to how many protective factors you have? So from my experience of, reflecting back when I was a youth and what was different today, I'm really looking at, as much as we've benefited from the internet and social media and our technology has really expanded within the last, 30, 40 years. I'm also seeing how it's having a really negative impact in many ways. It can have positive impacts as well on youth, but in ways of the risk factors, I think that it's a factor of isolating youth, particularly the youth that may be introverted or more reserved and quiet. And so it kind of gives them a bit of an outlet where they're behind a screen. And so they're not getting that direct communication. And they're not able or thinking that other people maybe are experiencing or having similar feelings that they themselves are having, because they're not sharing that with other people. So they're very closed in and isolated. So believe, like with bullying, that's also another factor where youth can really isolate themselves. And the other piece too is, youth really learn from other youth, and they're not actually getting perhaps factual information of how they may be harming themselves in whatever capacity that is, towards their physical health, emotional, developmental, like all those different aspects, social health. And so having access to community is really important for them, and for them to be able to feel comfortable to actually reach out to older members in the community and be able to feel like they're in a trusting environment where they can actually be safe and ask the questions or have their feelings normalized. So as far as a community, I really think that unifying ourselves as a community is key. Even though we will look at ourselves in many differences, I think that we're much more similar in our humanity of really who we are. And so having these opportunities for us to get past the socioeconomic differences or the racial or the ethnic, differences, and exploring with one another, getting curious about the other person and valuing what they have to offer, because we all have something to offer. We have so much knowledge to offer one another, from all of our own life experiences, from the places that we're from, the diversity that we have, and to be able to bring that in and utilize those as strengths to actually imbibe in our own community, to strengthen and support one another in that framework, I think is really critical, and it's very much needed. And one of the things, here in Marin, we're living in such a beautiful, beautiful area. And at the same hand, there are many issues in Marin County that perhaps some people or many people may not even be aware of, right? And so through knowing about community and learning about, as I said, about other people, then I think that we would be much more understanding or compassionate or empathic about how can we move forward as a community to better everybody's lives, especially the lives of youth, because youth really, I think, need opportunities that are keeping them engaged, interested, creative, curious, that they're able to have this exploration, because a lot of our youth, there aren't a lot of things for them. There are some, if you're possibly focused in sports, or if you have a specific, some youth are fortunate to actually know what direction they're going to go in, but for those youth that have no idea of who they are, what direction they want to go to, I think that that's when it can get a little dicey. So our community being able to create and offer different types of offerings to them that actually meets them where they're at and what they want, rather than us creating what we think they want, I think is a big piece as well.
Now I'm taking it a little further, because what I'm inquiring is, and that's why I talk with people, experts in that field like you, what are solutions we can all chip in and contribute to and consider and really keep in mind and ask our leaders and our representatives to put into action. I'm thinking there are no current programs that are nationally or even in certain communities that are focusing on things like resilience building, emotional intelligence, nonviolent communication, adaptability, mental health even, that are part of a curriculum. Yes. So, and the list goes on. So if you would now write an action plan down, Jeannine, where you had an opportunity to add something to, let's say, middle school and or high school, what could you see? What would you like to add to their curriculums?
Absolutely. What you had just stated. I believe that we need to have trauma-informed practices. And when I talk about trauma-informed practices, I'm talking actually from the body, somatic movement, a lot of art. Art has proven, music as well, has proven to really be helpful for youth to help integrate within their bodies the various feelings that they're having and being able to regulate through that. As you were actually mentioned a little earlier about just being able to know to breathe. What does that even feel like? Just being present, breathing. So being able to provide in middle school, actually elementary school, it is opportunities for young people to have, it's early intervention and prevention of how do you self-regulate yourself? What does that actually mean? What does that feel like within the body? And then expanding that through non-verbal types of activities, again, through the body. Drumming is another one. Dance is fantastic. Writing, journal writing, drawing, artistic outlets. It's critical, and it's unfortunate because we've lost a lot of funding over the years, but the arts are critical for self-expression. And I think that, many of us know that how much that is actually needed. But a lot of research now is coming out and is actually backing this up through somatic movement. If people are interested, there's a few people in the field that really emphasize the body and somatics. And one individual's name is Peter Levine. He's an incredible individual who's written many books. Another individual is Bessel van der Kolk. He has a book called Waking. Yes, there you go. Waking Time.
Yeah, that book is floating around here too.
Fantastic. Bessel van der Kolk, Body Keeps the Score. There's another individual, a psychiatrist from Vancouver named Maite Gabor. He's incredible. He's written a book actually with addiction. He's written many books with addiction, Blocking in the Hungry Ghost.
In the realm of the ghost.
The realm of the, yes, thank you.
Yeah, of the hungry ghost. Yeah.
Yes. So, I think familiarizing ourselves with evidence-based types of work that's actually working through the body, because verbal expression is a great way to actually be able to communicate effectively in some ways, and in other ways we need so much more than that, because through the body is really, from my belief system, is where the healing is really key, is getting into that body and being able to calm the system the parasympathetic sympathetic system and getting into the parasympathetic, staying in that system. It's something that people may want to look into as well.
Wow, Jeannine, you and I, we're thinking so alike. We could talk hours just about what we are going to do and how we change our school systems, adding those expressive healing arts into the school curriculums. I'm actually just in process to write a mega letter to not everyone, but all the key people that I know in the county. You will get it too, with all my ideas, and that reflect some of that what we're just talking about. Because I have my own experience and it's evidence-based. We know that only talking and mental intellectual focus does not work really well, particularly when you're an adolescent and you're going through all these challenges, even when you didn't have big traumas in your life.
Yes.
So having outlets other than the mental mind, which can be so much in our way, as we all know, it's a wonderful way to tap into more of your human self, and which is a wonderful healing tool. Let's see, I wonder if I had something on my list here. Yes, I wanted to know, I think that kind of covers it. What is your vision? Is there a vision that you have other than my question about school curriculum, maybe about OTW or in general?
Yeah, I do have a vision. I would like Opening the World to be one of the organizations here in Marin County that is long-term and sustaining for any young person, whether they come from trauma or not. Like you're saying, this is not, focused specifically on trauma. Everybody needs these types of tools. And so my vision is to be so well known in this community for young people to know that there's a place that they can go and they can get some support for whichever direction that they're needing, as well as another layer that I would like to add is I would like to work with families and work with intergenerational issues and bringing community together. I would like to, as we were talking a little bit earlier about really unifying us as a community and bringing different aspects of our strength together to make this community an even better community than what we're already living here in a beautiful environment in Marin County. So yeah, that's my long-term vision, is community work, bringing everybody together and providing services for families and for youth.
Beautiful. And I will definitely want to do anything that's in my capacity to promote your organization, because I would love to be a youth and go through your program. It's definitely something that's very much resonating. And let's say someone listens to what we are talking about today and wants to contact you. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's just openingtheworld.org. And on that website, as I said, there's application and then our address. And also you can reach us through email at info@openworld.org. And we also have my contact is 415-419-9695. Again, 415-419-9695. If anybody has any inquiries, especially as we're opened up right now for applications, they feel free to give that phone a call and someone will get back to you at least within the 24 hours. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jeannine. And I will list that information also on my I will post this conversation on my website, but also send it out to many people and post along with it your contact information. So again, thank you so much. And I wish you the very best for OTW, and may it indeed become one of the youth organizations in Marin County that bringing us all together. Thank you, Jeannine.
Yes, thank you so much.